Today's movie answers the vitally important question of whether or not this red, jelly-like substance is cranberry sauce. Spoiler alert.
It's not cranberry sauce.
Welcome to Sick Flicks, where I take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to help you embrace your inner gore geek. I'm Mike Bracken, aka the Horror Geek, and today we're tackling John Grissmer's Thanksgiving slasher, Blood Rage. Released in 1987, Blood Rage is one of the rare horror movies set on Turkey Day. We've had horror movies set on every holiday you can imagine, but for some reason few horror films are set during the Thanksgiving holiday. Probably because Blood Rage set the bar so high everyone knew they couldn't top it. Or something. I mean, this is the Halloween of Thanksgiving horror movies, but when your only real competition is basically Thanksgiving and Home Sweet Home, well, the bar is pretty low. But enough about that. Can this turkey carve up enough victims to fill 5 Tupperware containers with gory leftovers? Let's get to the gore and find out. Oh, and before we get started, today's video is sponsored by patrons Viral Eyesore 84. I'm no doctor, but you should probably get that looked at. Oscar Hernandez, and Tim Geist. If you'd like to sponsor some videos and help free me from the shackles of YouTube's tyranny, you'll find a link to my Patreon in the pinned comment and description below. And now, let's get bloody. We fade in on this drive-in in 1974. It was a simpler time. Oh sweet, J-Town represent. Jacksonville is easily one of the top 10 swamp towns in northern Florida. House the Crime Murder. Probably an upcoming episode of this show. I don't want to be mean, but Complex might be overselling Blood Rage. Wait a minute, slasher? I thought this was Blood Rage. Fun fact, Blood Rage had a multitude of different names. Blood Rage, Slasher, Nightmare at Shadow Woods, The Complex. It's practically an Italian movie with all these alternate titles. Oh man, you got Louise Lasser in my popcorn. I just want to butter and salt. The credits roll on, and man, you know it's a good cast when you go over to IMDb and not one actor listed on screen has a photo. Anyway, Budget Kurt Angle here decides to hit the head. Oh, it's true. It's true.
It's damn true!
And he runs into Ted Raimi. Ted's got a lucrative side hustle selling rubbers. Cover your stump before you hump. Oh yeah, this is definitely Florida. Even the kids have assault rifles. Up in the front seat, Mom and her date are working on making a third kid. Hey, where'd the gun go? Say it with me. Continuity is hard. Anyway, Rod and Todd Flanders here didn't need Skinamax for sex ed. They've got front row seats. Wait, they're in the back. Maybe these are back row seats. Whatever. Semantics aside, I'm with them. It's definitely time to bail. Todd eventually finds a hatchet. I hope the twist of Blood Rage is that he grows up to be Victor Crowley. Somehow they both wind up with hatchets, but Rod here is also a creepy peeper.
Get out of here, creep!
At any rate, Rod's paid for his ticket, so he's gonna watch the show. Hey, I heard there was some wood in here, so I brought my hatchet. Sweet, Blood Rage has sex and violence. Meanwhile, Mother of the Year has just noticed her little angels are missing. And in a classic heel turn, Rod is framing Todd for the hatchet murders. What a hack. Then Mom shows up and we get another great moment in horror film acting.
Jerry, you were right, what happened?
Christ, if she were any more wooden, we'd need to use that hatchet on her. With that over, let's go back to the future, aka 10 years later. Somehow Mom looks younger. She's got the whole Nellie Olson vibe going on. You kids even remember Nellie Olson? Christ, I'm old. She heads inside, and I feel like I wandered into a Saturday afternoon kung fu movie because the words are not matching the mouth.
Saw Maddie Simmons, Todd's mother, for the first time today.
Oh, this is supposed to be voiceover. Well done, John Grissmer. This is probably for the best because Dr. Berman is actually producer Mary Ann Cantor. She had to take the part when the actress they cast ghosted them on the shoot.
Their initial tension was predictable in light of Todd's breakthrough.
So, are we just gonna do the rest of the movie in voiceover narration or what? At any rate, Todd's got issues. Look at him mangling this pumpkin pie. Weirdest episode of Mary Hartman ever. And that's really saying something. Todd clearly hates pumpkin pie as much as I do. And then it's time for football practice. No, really, they're actually practicing football. That's a first for this show. This is interrupted when these two show up. Even though everyone's wearing shorts, it looks like it's a bit nipply outside. This movie really is like a time capsule of hairstyles better left in the 80s. Turns out, this is Thanksgiving dinner. Let's go around the table and say what we're grateful for. Well, I'm thankful my twin brother made such a perfect patsy. Terry is really dressed up for the occasion, too. Bold move to pop the collar and wear a tie. Dude really knows how to party. He's gonna lead the toast with milk. Also, if this is 10 years later, why does he look like he's 35 and not 20? That out of the way, it's time to carve that bird.
Well, seeing as how we have a new head of the family, I think it's time you started pulling your own weight around here.
He passes the buck to his new dad, and man, this dude has never actually carved a turkey before. Bird's already dead, no need to defile its corpse too. It'll be Christmas before he gets the first leg off at this rate. Terry's busy flirting with the new chick, and look at his girlfriend's face. It's like someone just passed her the shrimp jello salad. Meanwhile, this dude's still hacking off that leg. The bird's suffering more than any of our future victims. Back in the kitchen, it seems the turkey breast is getting upstaged by the Louise Lasser breasts. Must be Titsgiving again. Oh, and Todd's gone missing.
And they think he might come here.
Which would be tragic because she only bought an 8-pound bird and now there's not enough to go around. Back in the dining room, still carving. He's made zero progress on this thing. Out at the table, everyone's starving, so they start with the biscuits. Ah, yes, I like the way you roll. You really have to wonder how Louise Lasser wound up in this movie. Did she have gambling debts or what? Anyway, I guarantee the turkey on the table had less feathers than Terry's hair. Just look at that shit. While they're eating, Todd here is getting an early start on beating the crowds to the best Black Friday deals. And over in another movie, this guy's gunning for some leftovers. Turns out this is just a case of mistaken identity. Bonnie and Clyde here are hunting for Todd, not Terry.
It's his twin. Can't you see you're Terry, aren't you?
Would he tell you if he wasn't? Shouldn't you know this? Back at the apartment, Louise is calling her agent. You know, I worked with Woody Allen. Why am I in this shitty slasher movie? Downstairs, her fiance is getting stalked. I'm assuming this is Terry. Turns out he just wants to help him stay in ketosis. You can't have beer, man. That's full of carbs. To be fair, this was an old style, so he kinda did him a favor. And after all that excitement, we should probably take the edge off, so the movie's gonna sit down and smoke a J. Unfortunately, Terry shows up and stabs him right in the gut. This seems like an extreme punishment for not following the puff puff give protocol. Well, I guess I better go prune the palmettos now. This seems like a good time to check in on gender swap Dr. Loomis. She's just wandering around aimlessly. Look, this movie is barely 82 minutes. We gotta find padding where we can. And here's a live look at me at approximately 8 p.m. on every Thanksgiving night. What is the purpose of this scene? I mean, beyond padding. Fuck if I know. Back in the woods, Dr. Berman shows us why she was a producer and not an actor. Look at that face. Maybe she should have taken Chris Berman's advice and gone
Back, way back!
We're hopping around like a rabbit on crank now, so it's back to Louise. I'm calling party foul because that's not J&B. Oh yeah, just top it off. Back in the woods, Dr. Berman's in pieces like this is a Juan Pico Simone film. And there's no way ProTube will let me show that without canceling my monetization. Then, over in movie number 7, Terry says what we're all thinking.
It's not cranberry sauce.
And since Louise's agent clearly couldn't get her out of this movie, she's gonna take matters into her own hands and go the Sylvia Plath route. All cleaned up, Terry then stops by to visit Burlington Coat Factory Marquee Post. Guess Night Court wasn't in session because it was a holiday. She wants to put the moves on him, but Terry is like teenage me, completely oblivious to advances from the opposite sex.
I wonder if there's anything good on the tube.
Terry's actual girlfriend is looking for him, but all she finds is this jump scare.
Terry? Oh my gosh.
And she doesn't even realize it's not actually Terry, but Todd. This is definitely troubling because she's got an indecent proposal for him.
I want you to make love to me.
He reveals he's actually Todd, and TMI.
I've never kissed a girl before.
Shut up, you fool. You're about to hit a grand slam. First, second, third, and home all in one at bat. Look at her split. I haven't seen a girl take off that fast since the time I tried to explain pro wrestling to a chick in junior high. She runs for help, and Five Below Ben Stiller here is ready to take some batting practice. Then shit gets meta. We've got a movie in a movie. Not gonna lie, I kinda wanna watch this one. Old Terry here is still not taking the hint. Marky's like, but I'm willing to take your case pro boner. It's a good thing nothing happened because the adults show up.
You could get in trouble for getting minors intoxicated.
Yeah, minors. These guys haven't been minors in at least a decade. Fun fact, Bill is makeup effects artist Ed French. Back in the apartment, Louise is doing some drunk vacuuming. You could say it sucks. Desperate, she makes one more attempt to get out of this movie. Look, I was on It's a Living. I deserve better than Blood Rage. Out in the woods, all the king's horses and all the king's men and Todd couldn't put Dr. Berman back together again. He's basically a Patsy Cline song at this point. Over in another apartment, these dudes are fiddling with their joysticks.
Hell yeah.
No, not like that, you pervs. They're playing video games. I bet it's pole position.
Hell yeah.
Or Spanky's Quest.
Hell yeah.
Might even be Balls.
Hell yeah.
I think that's a new record. Oh hey, look, Shaker and Spoon sponsored this movie. I get the feeling Bill and his lady friend are just here to pad the body count, and frankly, I'm okay with that. I'm also not sure if that's her hairdo or if birds just built a nest on her head and she hasn't realized it yet. She slips into something more comfortable and her date has really lost his head over how good she looks. While that's going on, Todd has broken into his own house. Looks like Terry already decapitated Yoda. In movie 17, our gamers are still playing, but they're interrupted by a scream.
What was that?
They go to investigate, but all they find is this fake-out jump scare. Louise Lasser, realizing she's stuck for the duration of Blood Rage, drowns her sorrows. Now she's just drunk dialing random people she worked with once.
This is a real emergency.
Turns out she may have just taken the operators are standing by part of the infomercial she was watching too literally.
He is waiting for my call right now. He is sitting there and waiting for my call.
And if you find yourself thinking, you know what this movie needs? A Pieces-esque tennis scene? Well, you're in luck. It's fitting that these two are a couple of hackers because I'm guessing they're about to get hacked. Louise, meanwhile, is still on the phone.
My son just escaped from his school.
That's terrible, man, but this is movie phone. Did you need to know what time a movie was showing or not? Somehow our tennis players don't get killed on the court and are instead making a love connection at the pool. This is not cool with Terry, who's the harshest lifeguard ever. Oh, sweet, someone's making an entire pool's worth of Kool-Aid. Louise, meanwhile, is having a moment of clarity. Like it or not, she's stuck in this movie. We haven't seen Terry's main squeeze and Artie in a while. Let's check in on them. Dude really could be the love child of Ben Stiller and Eli Roth. This tender moment is interrupted by Troll Terry, who lives under the bridge apparently. Artie heads off and gets carjacked. Sure, why not? I mean, this movie is all over the place, narratively and in terms of sheer number of locations. After reuniting with Terry, they head off in search of Todd, but all they find is this handy kill kit. That's convenient because it's going to make killing Artie way easier. Stick a fork in him, he's done. That's not cranberry sauce.
It's not cranberry sauce, Artie.
See? Told you. Then Karen shows up and this feels like a good time for Terry to express that he loves her. To death. And now it's time for the Final Girl 500. While that's going on, Louise Lasser is still on the phone. Even the telemarketers want to get off the line now. Karen eventually makes it into the neighbor lady's place, but all she finds is this baby. He's probably no match for Terry. And surprise, Terry's already here. Karen's making for the exit, and she's left the baby behind. But here's Todd. She gets to the bat phone, but she's probably just going to get Louise Lasser on the other line. I do wonder if Karen's last name is Carpenter, because she hammers him right in the junk with this phone. She's on the run again, this time with a sweet baby mannequin. Terry's still coming, though. Oh yeah, totally should have worn my cup for this killing spree. Back at Louise's place, we make the most terrifying discovery in this whole movie. She's throwing garbage into the trash can and there's clearly no trash bag in there. What a savage. Karen's still on the run, but apparently all this excitement has made her irritable bowel syndrome act up. She's gotta go so bad she doesn't even have time to put the lid up. She tries to sneak out afterwards because she totally clogged it, but surprise, Terry is waiting. She flees again, right into a well-armed Todd. I mean, it's supposed to be Todd, but since Mark Soper played both characters, this is a dude in a bad wig. I will say, it's always a nice touch when your twins are different heights. That's the kind of attention to detail I admire. After the pool party, Louise shows up. And since Terry doesn't have an evil Spock goatee, she assumes he's Todd and blasts him. Also, there was blood in this pool earlier. How come it's crystal clear again now? Did the pool guy show up on Thanksgiving night? Great, now he's gotta come back and clean it again. Karen's like, yeah, I'm just gonna head out now. Which is good because shit's about to get weird. Yeah, real weird.
I'm Todd.
Awkward. And unable to live with her mistake, Louise makes her own batch of cherry Kool-Aid. Then we get the standard freeze-frame ending with the added bonus of a fade-out. Fancy. So, what have we learned from Blood Rage? Well, for starters, we learned that's definitely not cranberry sauce. I'm glad these weird, borderline inept slashers have found an appreciative audience in the 21st century. I mean, Blood Rage is not a good film by any metric, but stuff like this and The Mutilator are so charming with their low-budget ineptitude that I'm glad new audiences are still discovering them. But enough about that. Can Blood Rage serve up enough Thanksgiving splatter to fill 5 barf bags? Let's go to the gore card. In terms of gross anatomy, Blood Rage delivers. We've got lopped off limbs, a dismembered body, a guy gets forked hard, a cleaved skull, and a decapitation. That's just for starters. The effects here are charmingly low budget, but still surprisingly effective. Because of that, Blood Rage earns a very respectable 4 barf bag rating. This is definitely a sick flick. Looking for another low-budget 80s slasher classic? Then be sure to check out my review of The Mutilator. You'll find a link here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.